you doing today, sir?
I'm good. Good to see you.
Nice to see you. I really mean this sincerely. I loved this movie, and I want to thank you for making it. I felt like I was watching Jonathan on screen, and it really meant a lot to me.
Thank you. I saw your very kind tweet. I really appreciate that.
Yeah, man, it meant a lot to me. I have a million questions and not enough time, so I'm gonna. Hopefully, this is gonna, I can get through this. You got to go to the Library of Congress and see all of Jonathan's stuff. And I'm just curious, I know what Jonathan means to you. What was that actually like? And did you lose your mind looking through it all?
Yeah. Well, on a purely selfish level, like the movie aside, it was fascinating to me as a songwriter to see his process unfold in his notes. And he's a really different songwriter than me. One of the things he did that I've never seen any other composer do, and I've looked through other people's archives. I've read Hammerstein's archives, I like it at the Library of Congress, is he would ask himself questions. And that was often the inspiration for some of his most enduring songs. The most famous example is, how do you measure a year? And there is a piece of paper at the Library of Congress where it's like 52 weeks, 365 days. Then he gets to 525,600 minutes, and there's just a bunch of circles around it. But often he would write these questions and then write the song to answer the question he was asking himself. And I think it's so fitting that the last song in Tick, Tick, Boom is every lyric is a different question. Because that's exactly where he was in his life. He was questioning whether he wanted to do this for a living. He was questioning how he would get back up from the ashes of Superbia and write the next one. And Tick, Tick, Boom is a self-portrait of an artist at a crossroads. And it's all there in his notes, and it's all there in his music.
If you had the opportunity to show Jonathan a scene from this movie, which one would you want to show him first?
Oh my God. That's a really great and tough question. I think it's a tie probably between, it's a three-way tie between the opening number, where he would get glimpses of the moon dance and his apartment and his loved ones, and the Sunday sequence. He only ever heard Sunday with him at the piano and maybe Roger Bart singing backup in the background. And I really tried to build the chorus of his dreams for that sequence. That was my thesis going into that number. And then probably therapy. He'd be annoyed that I cut into it and didn't let it just play unfinished. But I think the turn at the end of that scene, I think would surprise him. I think he would enjoy it.
I love talking about the editing process because that's where it all comes together. As this being your first feature, what really surprised you about the editing process that perhaps you weren't expecting?
First of all, I had two amazing editors, and it happened very organically. First, Andy Weisblum, who is Wes Anderson's guy and Darren Aronofsky's guy, and we were so COVID delayed. By the time we got through our first screening cut of this movie, Darren Aronofsky came calling and said, I need Andy Weisblum back. And so Andy went off to that project, and I was lucky enough that Myron Kirstein, who had edited In the Heights, was free, and he came to continue to investigate the piece with me. And when I say came to invest, this is COVID times. They lived in my house. We edited this in my home, and so it was an amazing period where my kids just got to know these editors as Uncle Andy and Uncle Myron, and because he lived and ate dinner with us. But also to your question, it was the part I knew the least about going in as a first-time filmmaker, and the part that was most analogous to what I actually know how to do, which is build a score and build a theater score for an evening. You're playing with the same things. You're playing with tension and release and surprise, and when do I sit in a moment, and when do I explode a moment, and when do I keep it moving? When is the audience ahead of me? The surprise is sort of the thing Sondheim is always telling every one of his mentees of keep surprising us. That's the most important thing you can do when you're building a score. And so I found that it was a very analogous skill set. in terms of how to pace an evening.
Did you have an actual, like, much longer cut of the movie, or was it always around this running time?
I think my rough cut, which is just everything assembled in order, was probably 220. It was very important for me that this is under 2 hours. The off-Broadway version is 90 minutes. And we're an hour 55. But that being said, I put stuff in that wasn't in the off-Broadway version. There's
Oh,
the swimming sequence, which was cut for off-Broadway. There's Play Game, which, is, it's, Jonathan writing hip hop numbers in the 80s. And so I really wanted to really just feel like an evening with Jonathan Larson. So it was really about keeping that stuff really tight. I mean, one of the most painful things was we did a fully danced, choreographed green dress sequence, and you can hear Andrew and Alex singing it on the closing credits because I wanted you to at least have it on your soundtracks. But that's one of the ones where when Jonathan comes back from wherever he is to watch the movie, he's gonna be like, "Why'd you cut that song?" And I'm gonna go, "Well, because no story happens during it." So I had Josh Henry singing it out of the radio as they get it on, and that was a tough cut, but it also totally supercharged the pace of the movie.
I already have to stop. I'm going to say again, thank you so much for making the film. And seriously, I loved it. Thank you so much.